Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we're going to have a look at another brewery who I have never tried anything from before. So for this review we are going to go to Blekinge County, which is just a little bit to the northeast of me here in Skåne in the very south of the country, and we're going to have a look at a beer that I think will be pretty interesting. So for the first time we are going to go to Faråkra Hantverksbryggeri and we're having a taste of the Peace today, which comes in at 7% ABV, and they're describing this one as an Imperial berry sour. Now if you've watched the channel before you will know that I do love a good like raspberry sour, a good blueberry sour, whatever. So when I saw this one listed I thought, you know, I have to have some of this actually. I think this one will be very nice. But it comes in at 7% ABV and this beer was released in Systembolaget as part of the Local Osmoskoligt range in June of 2020. So yeah, hopefully this turns out to be another very nice beer, and I always enjoy introducing the very small Swedish breweries to you here on the channel. I mean, you can find some real gems here because the quality of home brewing in Sweden tends to be very, very high, and a lot of that of course has come as a result of how strict the alcohol laws have been over the last year. So the Swedish homebrewers have had a very long time to kind of refine their art and things, if you like, and of course there's so much because of the work that other people have done over the last kind of few years and things like that. You know, the newer ones that are starting up also start off at a very high standard as well because of all the information that's out there. So yeah, this one should be a really, really interesting beer to try, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. I always enjoy trying different types of berry sour, blackberry sours, blueberry sours, cloudberry sours, you know, always enjoy these kind of beers. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done, or that I will do in the future I should say, from Faråkra Hantverksbryggeri. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers on the channel of course, but I'm sure it won't be the last. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to the brewery notes then, to tell you a little bit about Faråkra Hantverksbryggeri. So yeah, for this one then, they are based in Svängsta, just outside of Karlshamn in the western part of Blekinge, and the brewery was founded by father and son Torbjörn and Johan Blomström. So they founded the brewery together in 2014 when Torbjörn retired, and now a number of the family are involved in the brewery as well. So there's also Johan's wife Emily, and there's also his brothers Ole and Thomas in there as well. But Johan started homebrewing back in 2014, and over the following years he just kind of refined his skills, learned lots of stuff from the internet and from reading books and things like this, and gradually built up different recipes. But they founded the brewery officially in 2017, and it's based on the family farm in a barn. And the first equipment that they had was made from converted dairy tanks. I think it was like 900 litre batches or something like that that they were brewing in the early stages, if I remember the article right. Yeah, in the first year they produced around 9,000 litres of beer per year, and as of June 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, they have 15 different varieties of beer. So yeah, still a very, very small operation, a fairly local brewery to me actually. You know, they're in western Blekinge, so they're not away over in the eastern part, which will take you about 2 hours or so to get to from Lund. But yeah, definitely cool to see more and more breweries popping up in Blekinge. Karlshamn, where these guys are very close to, of course, is home to Brygghus Niton, which for quite a while was the only craft brewery over there, but there are other ones popping up, like I say. So yeah, really, really cool to see more and more Blekinge breweries popping up. So if you do happen to be watching from Blekinge County, do let me know some of the other beers and breweries and stuff like that from there that you would like to see me review. So far I only really know these, I only really know Brygghus Niton, and I have had the one, the Tumlete, I forget what the name of that brewery was in Karlskrona, but there's the one who has the very, very nice artwork and things like that as well. So yeah, do give me some other Blekinge brewery recommendations. But that's all I can really tell you about Faråkra Hantverksbryggeri just now, another sort of almost farmhousey type brewery, and as I say, cool to see more and more Blekinge breweries popping up. So yeah, if you want to learn more, check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all of the different beers that these guys have done. 15 different varieties so far, and hopefully I can review a few more of those for you at some point in the fairly near future. So yeah, let's just have a little look at this then before we open up. The artwork on this one, I have to say, is pretty nice. The other beers that I've seen have the same kind of setup on the label, they just tend to be different colours, of course, depending on the beer. There you can see on the side, 7% Imperial Berry Sour. This one is Starcool, 330 millilitres, and it tells you a little bit on the back how this beer was sort of inspired by cakes and things like this. And they said they had a part that basically they got the idea for this one at a party, and rather than pancakes and the idea apparently came from like pancakes and stuff like this, which is quite interesting. But from what I gather, peace is a term for a little boy. Actually, I'm not sure if it's a Blekinge term or if it's also used in Skåne. But yeah, of course, when I'm studying Swedish, they teach us sort of the proper Swedish, if you like. They don't teach us really all the dialectal things that much. But yeah, nicely presented beer, this one. And hopefully it turns out to be nice in the thing as well. There you can see, there's the symbol for Faråkra Hantverksbryggeri, and you can also see Johan Blomström's signature on this one too, which is a pretty nice touch. That's the other one that I remember always used to do that, was Oppigård's Bryggeri, and you always used to get Björn's signature on it there as well. But yeah, plain black bottle cap on this one. My first beer from these guys, 7% Imperial Berry Sour. Hopefully this turns out to be very, very nice. So let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Very curious to see what this beer has in store for us. And I'll tell you something, when you open up the bottle, the aroma is pretty damn nice of this. So yes, this is going to be pretty good, I have to say. Well, at least I think it's going to be pretty good. It doesn't say what malt it says. So this one has barley malt, wheat malt and lactose added to it. So yeah, it should be interesting. And raspberries are in there as well. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. I do enjoy a good raspberry sour. So yeah, as you can see, the head on that one's just faded away. It was about a half finger of a frothy kind of pink head, but as you quite often get with sours, it was a bit bumpy, so it has just faded away to a very kind of thin foamy layer and ring, which is quite nice. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there, but I mean overall it does look pretty nice. If I hold this beer up to the light, it does have a good degree of haze to it, and I'm just checking. Yeah, that's not just due to the condensation of the glass. There is a good level of haze to that one, but it's not kind of soupy and things like you might get from some of the New England IPAs and stuff like that. But in terms of colour, I think it's fair to describe this one as a nice sort of, a nice sort of maroony, burgundy sort of colour. Actually, I think yeah, maroon is maybe a good way to describe the colour of this one. But yeah, looks very, very nice. Not unsurprising for not surprising, I should say. Not surprising in terms of what you would expect from an Imperial Berry Sour in terms of its colour. Of course, some of them will be darker, some of them will be a little bit redder and things like this. But yeah, this lovely kind of maroon colour from this one should be very, very nice. So yeah, let's have a little look at the aroma of this one then, and just see how we get on. Really curious to see how this one turns out. So yeah. That smells really nice actually. As I say, I'm an absolute sucker for a berry sour, and this one to me, it really smells very, very juicy. I mean, you can smell a little bit of the tartness from the raspberries at the front of the nose, but behind that it does come across as a little bit more sort of, how do you say, it's got a bit of a kind of almost strawberry kind of juiciness to it, but you've also got some kind of like, sort of plummy and slightly raisiny notes in there as well. That's the kind of interesting thing about this one. But yeah, I really like how that goes together. Actually, in terms of its aroma, it really reminds me a lot of the strawberry pie. No, sorry, not strawberry pie, the triple berry pie that I had from Brewski recently. It really, really reminds me of that. Actually, the aroma of this one is very, very similar to that, come to think of it. So yeah, lovely kind of black curranty, blackberry-ish notes in there, the more juicy notes. You've got a bit of sharpness from the raspberries, like I said, and you've got a wee bit of a kind of, you know, plummy and raisiny, figgy kind of note behind this one as well. And the fruits, you know, as you'd expect with this one, the fruits really dominate the aroma there. You've got some nice light grassiness, you've got a little bit of kind of floral aromaticity to the beer as well. You know, I'd say the hoppy side of it really leans towards the grassy side of things. There is a little bit of a light earthiness. Maybe they're using, you know, a Hallertau, Tettnanger type hop in this one. Could just be, you know, there is just something a bit German and noble about the hoppy side of the beer. And underneath that, the sort of more malty and sweeter side of it, you can definitely pick up some of the lactosey smoothness, and you can smell a little bit of a kind of smooth, white bready, wheaty quality in there as well. And there's maybe a wee tiny touch of like a kind of biscuity note to this one as well. So I really like how this, I do like how the aroma on this one goes together. It strikes me as a very kind of smooth, sweet sour in terms of its malt base, but it's got a lovely kind of juicy fruitiness to it as well. It doesn't strike me as being overly tart in the aroma, but I think this one should be pretty nice. You know, I wonder, I might think this beer was a Berliner Weisse based on its aroma, but from what I gather, this one is a more kind of straight up sour rather than being a Berliner Weisse. So yeah, this one should hopefully be very, very interesting. The aroma is certainly very nice. Reminds me a lot of the triple berry pie that I had recently from Brewski, and yeah, I'm sure, I'm hoping they release a few more in that kind of pie series that they're doing at the moment. So yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we get on. This one is the Piece, a 7% Imperial Berry Sour from Faråkra Hantverksbryggeri in Svängsta, just outside of Karlshamn in western Blekinge here in the south of Sweden. Let's get stuck into this one. Always cool to introduce you guys to new breweries then, but a beautiful, beautiful aroma there. As I always say with the sour ones, they're not the most complex in terms of aroma and flavour. It's all about the transitions with these beers. So let's have a taste of this one then. Slàinte skål. Yeah. It's nice that actually, it feels like a big oil, it's like a big oily, it is like a big oily kind of fruit beer, this one actually. Yeah, this one, I like what they've done with this. I mean, it's really, this is definitely not the most sour and puckering of sour beers that you're going to come across. I think it's definitely fair to say that. It's really one of the more kind of juicy ones, to be quite honest with you. I really like how that all kind of pieces together, to be honest with you. Yeah, where to start with this one? I like, it's one of these ones, it takes you a little bit of time, just, you know, a little bit just to get your head around it, but I like it. It definitely sweetens up. When you first take this in, it comes across as quite wet. It just comes across like a very kind of oily kind of fruit beer, to be honest with you, but the more that you drink of it, the more you start to get the kind of malty and sweeter side out of it as well. So that's something that I do kind of appreciate with this one. I like how that pieces together with this beer. Yeah, more and more you drink this one, the more the malty side of it comes out. You can feel though that this one is a little bit more boozy, and I think that's mainly just down to the thickness of it. But I like, as I say, I like how these flavours kind of piece together actually. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. Let's see how we can break down the flavour. So straight away in the middle of your palate, you can feel that nice kind of white bready, wheaty quality that just blankets the middle of your tongue. In the middle third, in the kind of middle of your palate though, you really get the kind of, in the middle third of your tongue, you really get the nice kind of lactosey qualities there. There is a wee touch of an almost biscuity sweetness in the very middle of the palate, but that's very, very, very minimal. I do like how that kind of pieces together in this one though. I like how that fits together. Yeah. This is, it really is pretty nice, this, I have to say. But yeah, I like how I like how that wheaty base goes, and then the lactose really thickens up this beer quite nicely. And as you go towards the back of the tongue there, you get a little bit of kind of, you do get more of the kind of wheaty notes out of it. It gets a little bit smoother, but you also get some of the sweet lactosey qualities just kind of lingering there into the back of the palate as well. So I mean, the malty kind of the malty side of this beer, the sweeter side of the beer, is really kind of straightforward, and I like how it just sort of thickens up too. I do like how this goes together. Yeah, it's. It really does. It really. I think it gets a wee touch grainy the further you go into the aftertaste as well. It's taken me a little bit of time just to kind of think about this. My brain feels a bit tired as well, right enough. So yeah, but on the hoppy side of the beer, it is kind of what you'd expect as well. You get a little bit of a kind of noble, like German noble type earthiness there on the back of the back corners of the palate. Very kind of light. Earthiness there. As you move further forward, it develops a wee slight kind of herbal quality, and then as you reach the very front corners of the palate, it's a little bit more kind of floral and aromatic. But you know, the bitterness, what they usually do with sour beers is they'll add older hops to them that have that are not so high in alpha acid, and that's so that the bitterness doesn't start battling the sourness for influence in the flavour, if you like. But then as you go round the very front curve of the palate, this one's definitely a bit lighter and more grassy, but it's the front third of the tongue where you get the nice kind of berryish qualities out of this one. So yeah, I like how that goes together in this beer. Yeah, so for me, this one, it has a little bit of sharpness and tartness when you take it in. It's got a lovely bit of a, it really has a very nice kind of juicy raspberry quality in the beginning, so it comes in a little bit sharp, but then you can feel it just sort of on that front third of the tongue, it just sort of spreads back a little bit. But then, as I say, you get a few, there are a few kind of almost like figgy, plummy kind of notes just sitting underneath that, and that will be from the hops. I mean, as I say, I think they'll probably use like a Hallertau or a Tettnanger or something like this. If they're going for an Imperial sour, right enough, a good one to use would be Northern Brewer, because that's a very popular hop in the Doppelbox and things like that, that gives you some really nice red fruity characters. There's various other hops you could use. You could use Williamette if you wanted, you could use Eureka. Is it Summit that's quite a popular one for the red fruity notes in the States as well, if I remember rightly. So yeah, there's quite a few different hops you can use for these more berryish notes, but I would suspect just from the way the green side of the beer is, which really leans towards the grassiness, incidentally, I would suspect that it's probably a German hop that's in here. You know, the Hallertaus, the Tettnangers, the Pearls, the Hercules, and all of these kind of things, they will give you a little bit of red fruit depending on what you mix them with. But obviously this one does, you know, this one does have a little bit of fruitiness. Yeah, a little bit of fruit that's added to it, and you can always tell this because around the edge of the palate, if you've got fruit added into the beer, you get some of the juicy fruitiness around the edge of the palate, and it suppresses some of the IBU of the beer. It takes away some of the kind of green side, some of the green side of the hoppiness, to be honest with you. So you do get a little bit of that out of this beer. But yeah, I do like how this. I do like how this one goes together in that regard. But yeah, as I say, when you take it in, it's got a little bit of a kind of raspberry tartness to it. Then you start to get a more kind of blackcurranty undertone to it at the front of the palate. You've got some nice juicy figs in there. A little bit of a kind of darker plummy note as well. So the fruity notes are a bit darker and more plummy and figgy towards the back of the palate. But as you come further forward, it almost has a little bit of a kind of strawberry note to it, and you can feel. The raspberries kind of sit there at the very front, almost tip of the palate, but you can feel more of a blackcurranty, blackberry note developing, it kind of pushes out from the very tip of the tongue out to the sides a little bit the further you go into the aftertaste as well. So the flavour of this one, it's got a really interesting kind of transition, and I'm finding that the middle of the palate just gets sweeter and sweeter the further that you go into the aftertaste as well. So this one, as I say, it really gets sweeter, and the kind of maltier side of the beer it kind of pushes its way out a little bit more the more you drink of it. But the way everything else goes together in this one, I think, is really nice. Like I said, this one isn't really a sort of puckering sour. It's definitely more of a kind of oily and smooth sour rather than anything else. But I like what they've done with this. This gets a thumbs up from me. I would definitely drink this again, and it makes me curious to see what some of their other beers are like. I know they've got a Pilsner, and they've got there's an IPA in there as well, so I need to see what else I can get from these guys. But this one, I think I picked this just because I liked how it sounded, and it's turned out to be pretty nice. And this is, like I say, you can get some real gems when you go to the very small Swedish breweries. That's why I like doing these reviews for you. But yeah, a very, very nice beer, this one. So thumbs up to Faråkra Hantverksbryggeri for this. They've pulled off a solid beer here in my mind. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, I'd say that this one's one of the thicker sours that I've had. And bear in mind, this one isn't a, it's not a Goza, and it's not a, it's not a Goza, it's not a Berliner Weiss or anything like that. This one is just a kind of straight up sour ale, if you like. So this one for me, within that category, it's definitely one of the kind of thicker ones. So I'd be tempted to put this in the full bodied category for the sours, but sours obviously always feel a bit lighter than standard beers, if you can call them that. But yeah, lovely big oily mouthfeel to this one, smooth carbonation. In terms of IBUs and things, I think you're talking only about 15 IBUs or something like that, very, very low. Because as I say, they normally add older hops to these beers, so that the bitterness and the sourness don't kind of battle each other almost. So yeah, very low IBUs, about 15 I would say. The malt base has a good bit of smoothness to it. There is a bit of creaminess and slightly sweet characteristics from the lactose as well. But you've got some nice juicy berry qualities coming out of this one as well, which obviously that's the whole point of an Imperial berry sour. It's got a good bit of juiciness. It's not the most sour of sour beers and not the most tart of sour beers that you're going to come across. So yeah, this it strikes me as a little bit more like a kind of fruit beer, and a sour in a number of ways, because the sourness isn't too prominent in this, but I think it works very, very well. And like I say, it gets a thumbs up from me. It does everything you'd expect of an Imperial berry sour. The fruitiness has a good bit of complexity to it, but the rest of the beer, I think, is pretty damn straight up, and that suits it. It really does suit it. So yeah, thumbs up to Faråkra Hantverksbryggeri for this one. They've pulled off a really solid beer, and I do want to see some of the other things that they have. So you will see these guys reviewed again at some point fairly soon. As I say, definitely cool to see more beers coming out of Blekinge, and do give me some more Blekinge brewery recommendations too. But yeah, thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Faråkra Hantverksbryggeri, and do let me know some other Blekinge ones, like I said. Check out my social media, check out this brewery, have a go at this beer for yourself, and I'm sure we'll return to these guys at some point very, very soon. This one was the Peace, a 7% Imperial berry sour from Faråkra Hantverksbryggeri in Svängsta, just outside of Karlshamn in western Blekinge here in the south of Sweden. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Slanja, skål, make sure you check out Faråkra Hantverksbryggeri. Cheers.